Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's Aaron, the history buff here, or otherwise you can call me Mr. Aaron here. I wonder how everyone is doing here. I hope everyone's doing great there because in today's video we're gonna be doing we're doing something a bit different here. We're gonna be doing histories of different cities, towns, and historical landmarks. Which in today's video we're gonna be doing the history of Menlo Park here in California. Now, before we get into this video, I know you guys might be saying here that because there's actually two Menlo parks here, one in California and the other in New Jersey. But in this video, we're going to be covering only the Menlo Park in California here, is what we're going to be doing in this video here. And yeah, so if you guys want to see me do also more videos of historical landmarks and areas, whatnot, here, that would actually be really cool because I might plan on maybe doing another video playlist that's updated for the channel here. And yeah, so but before we begin in this video here, if you guys haven't yet, please be sure to like, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to comment and turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified by every video that I'll be posting in the channel. And yeah, so like I said, like always here, I'm going to be going over these slides. Just read through them, what I written down for my presentation, and then just give out my thoughts, my opinions, and like basically find what something is interesting. So yeah, anyways, let's get right into the video. Alrighty, let's get to it. Alright, so the history of Menlo Park in California goes way back when it was first inhabited by the indigenous people, most specifically the Ohlone people, where they were hunter-gatherers for over 13,000 years. They relied on resources like acorns, seeds, and fish, villages that were built with the willow poles and tool, using the tool boats for travel, and the evidence of settlements along with the San Francisco Creek, like you see in this picture. The Menlo Park area was part of the traditional territory of the Post-WWII, who were well over 50 distinct tribes in the Bay Area, and they were part of a larger Ohlone slash Castonian language family here. And so, also like the Ohlone people were also like basically known for like when they were using these boats here, they were able to like hunt down like whales as well here, and they captured one and they would boil it into like basically to make it would make whale oil now, and they were also known for hunter gatherers, and they also were known for establishing their own permanent settlement here, which they fished and like basically farmed and like relied on agriculture until then, like way before the Spanish had basically arrived in 1769, which I'm gonna get to now. All right, so now let's go to the Spanish arrival in 1769. So, the first Europeans who began settling in Menlo Park, California were the Spanish, and which had begun on the Portolas expedition in 1769, which was led by Gaspar de Portola, who had passed through the area while searching for the Monterey Bay. In 1795, a large Spanish land grant, Rancho de las Pulgas, was established covering much of the modern-day Menlo Park. The Spanish area brought missions and ranchos disrupting native Ohlone peoples and destroying their civilizations, as well as their villages, crops, brought diseases, and forced assimilation, and the suppression of like the Ohlone language and customs here. And they were all, and yeah, and also like with their missions here, they were basically where the many of the only tribes, alongside with many other like Native American tribes here, were basically like captured and were basically treated by the Spanish as like animals here, and they were not given good treatment, and they were forced to speak the Spanish language here and do what the Spanish lords were basically told them to do, like such as like basically collecting silver, iron, or gold here. And also like basically they were also forced to like also convert into Catholicism as well here. All right, let's go to the next. Now let's go forward to like also the Irish immigrants in 1854. So Menlo Park goes jumped back into the 1854 from two Irish immigrants, Dennis J. Oliver and D.C. McGlynn, who were I brought land from but an estate, naming it after their hometown of Menlo, County Galway, Ireland, marked by a distinctive archgate which then became the name of a local railroad station, cementing on the Irish connection to this growing community here. And then in 1851, Dennis J. Oliver and his brother-in-law in D.C. McGlynn, they acquired tract of the land reform from the Rancho de las Palgas here. And then it was not until also 3 years later, in 1854, where they erected the grand wooded archway and their entrance with Menlo Park in the day August of 1854. Since this is why they basically came, that's where then when they came up with the name for Menlo Park, inspired by their Irish home from Menlo, County Galway, which the railroad arrived also built in the 1860s. The station needed a name, and the railroad official borrowed it from the prominent gates, officially adopting Menlo Park for the area here. So it was basically kind of like that time where they were constructing over like basically the railroad systems here, since also like back when it was also like with the Continental Railroad system that was back all over the other parts of the U.S. here in the back in the 1850s here, and where it was then later used for trains as for not only holding cargo and loot and everything here, but also can kind of been used for transportation as well here, and as well as also like later in the 19th century where they also were like be able to establish like many permanent shops, gallows and saloons and ring, and as well as also a few restaurants and all that stuff here during around that kind of time period here in in the 19th century. All right, now let's go over fast forward to the Victorian era. So Menlo Park's Victorian era, roughly from 1837 to 1901, saw its transformation from the rancho lands in a desirable suburban retreat for for the wealthy and San Franciscans, spurred by the arrival of the railroad in 1863, establishing its identity as the community as a grand estate, the picturesque homes of the Coleman Mansion in 1882, and the unique name derived from the Irish state. The area saw also large estates being built, such as the Volombrosa in 1883, showcasing the styles like Queen Anne and East Lake, with the notable examples like the Coleman Mansion in 1882. While the name was famous from Thomas Edison's NJ Lab in the 1870s, if you guys don't know who Thomas Edison is, he's the guy who was the inventor of who invented like the light bulb here, as well as also creating other inventions like the printing press and as well as also other machines here. And also, like basically in 1870, as well, the post office was established there in Menlo Park, and the city was also incorporated in 1874. And then in 1867, the station this building was still stands on the platform of the current Calvo train station here. And that was when also in the same time in the 1860s when also what I explained before when the railroads were basically being constructed here. All right, let's keep moving. Now let's fast forward to World War One. So, Menlo Park was transformed by the massive Army Training Center known for Camp Fremont, built on the land leased from Stanford, hosting nearly 30,000 soldiers for training, boosting the local economy, and spurring infrastructure like paved roads on the water lines, leaving lasting legacy including the VA hospital and a dramatic population surge before the town incorporated in 1927. So basically, this is basically where used as not only as a training center for the U.S. soldiers who would need to basically fight on the Western Front in France and Europe in World War One, but it also was being used as a hospital to basically heal up the soldiers or basically take any surgery or any medicine, And so, but then, and also in 1917, the U.S. Army established the Camp Fremont in a huge base for National Guard and regular Army units, and on their land near a small town of Menlo Park, the population roughly about 2,300, with up to 27,000 soldiers at the time. The area became bustling a military hub, bringing the economic opportunities and also brought rapid development. The training ground, the soldiers trained in the hills, preparing for combat in France, and with the artillery ranges and trench grounds established, and line infantry, as well as also line infantry and grounds tactics and maneuvers and canteens, and as well as baggages and other made supplies. And also the global reach where many trained for there. Some troops were from Camp Fremont, but were ultimately deployed in Siberia in late 1918 to protect the supplies after the Russian Revolution of 1917, experiencing the harsh conditions. And also the reincorporation in 1927, after the earlier attempt after World War I, Menlo Park officially it was incorporated later as a city here. All right. Now let's go over to World War II. At the start of World War II, the U.S. government brought a large estate in Menlo Park. They trained it into Palo Alto, the general hospital, where there was a general hospital called the Dibble General Hospital. After the war, some of this land was then sold to the city, and it became the site of the main library. And the city was, and later, a post-World War II residential area known for the Stanford Research Institute, the SRI International, and tech companies like Facebook, and evolving in a wealthy, educated Silicon Valley hall. And also that the war was accelerated into the town's development from a rural to /suburban like Elk Cave and a more urbanized area, further bolstered into the arrival of the Stanford Research Institution. And the following after the war, the hospital grounds were repurposed to create civic center, a library, and to provide housing to influx students using the GI Bill, as well as post-war development. It became a sought-after residential community, attracting businesses like the Stanford Research Institute in the 1940s there. And yeah, it was great. It was basically at that time going to massive growth here and major also development here with the grounds, the hospital and the Institute Research Center here, and many other infrastructures here, and hospital grounds and restaurant and all that kind of stuff here. All right, let's go. Oh, nope, my bad. I just went back to World War One there. All right, now we're here, post World War II and today. Okay. So in the modern era, Menlo Park was transformed from a quiet residential town into a crucial hub of Silicon Valley. It was characterized by the mid-century modern architecture and the rise of the Sand Hill Road venture capital and the 1975 founding of the Homebrew Computer Club. The city saw post-war suburban growth and established a civic center in the 1950s, and it became a major tech, research, and social media companies. The city also became a hub for research for the establishment of the Stanford Research Institute in 1946. It was also became a publishing center famously to the Sunset magazines, and also in the 1950s the city was purchased land from the Dibble and General Hospital to build a modern civic center. Then in March of 1975, the inaugural meeting of the Homebrew Community Club was held in Menlo Park Garage, serving as a catalyst for the microcomputer revolution and the development of the first Apple iPhone here. The beginning of the latter half of the 20th century, the Sand Hill Road emerged as the world-renowned center for the venture capital financing of the Silicon Valley startups. And then in the 21st century, already into the present here, has been marked by the highly densely residential redevelopment of the immense technology companies, notably Meta's massive presence, as well as the city's continues its balance, its residential small towns charm with its role as Silicon Valley's an economic engine here. And yeah, and like basically just like and then around the 20th and the also like the pretty much the 21st centuries here in Menlo Park here was all like, major development, mass growth and production here, as well as also like went through also established also like basically the many do restaurants, as well as they have like a Kepler bookstore, but it also has like, established where they placed one of their own like McDonald's fast food restaurants, a 7-Eleven, and they also were able to establish bookstores, as well as also, supermarkets and shops and toy stores and Susie's Cakes and whatnot. And also they have the same area where they also established like a coffee, like a Starbucks, where people usually like to get out and go outside and get a coffee on a daily basis there. And they also have like Baskin Robbins and like Cold Stone if people would like basically need to eat ice cream, since like my area is like basically hot in the spring here, and it's pretty warm and sunny outside usually here, and all that stuff. And yeah, okay. And I think that's pretty much about it. Yeah, that was the history of Menlo Park here. Yeah, I hope you guys basically enjoyed this video here. And if you guys did, just let me know in the comment section down below. What other historical landmarks guys think you want me to see next here, and if you want us to basically see more history content like this, then what are you waiting for? Please be sure to like, subscribe to my channel if you're new. Don't forget to comment and turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified by every video that I'll be posting in the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Anyways, Mr. Aaron's out. Peace.